Hello everyone, it is Leon here, and
Phil,
who has gone to Media Molecule, or been to Media Molecule I should say, to see Tearaway. Now we're seeing a little bit of kind of trailer footage here, setting the scene. Just in a nutshell, what is it?
So it's a platform adventure in a sort of papercraft world. You're developing this relationship with Iota, the character there. His head is an envelope. You're trying to figure out what is in that envelope. Apparently it's a unique message to each player, and to find out what's in the envelope you have to navigate this world through various locations. There's like a desert, and then there's a seaport, and all kinds of crazy Media Molecule art going on all the way through it.
Okay, so is getting the message out of his envelope head, is that the story then?
As far as we know at the moment, yeah. I mean, there's no dialogue in the game. It's a bit meta. From what we've seen, there are various environmental messages as you go. One of the town's Sogport is slowly sinking into glue because its citizens have been using up the paper around it.
Right.
So there'll be themes as we go, I think.
Yeah. So it's obviously a Vita thing. We're seeing some of the finger pushing kind of stuff. Did you see much of how it kind of interacts with the real world?
Well, I saw plenty of the sort of haptic control stuff, and I got to push my fingers through the
haptic control.
The touchy-feely stuff. Okay.
Does it work? I mean, do you see it and go, "Oh, that is my finger"?
You can tell that it's not photorealistic fingers and thumbs.
But does it sort of fool your brain?
But it really does feel like you've just push through a piece of paper and you're disrupting the game. And also there is a drum skin which you tap the rear touchpad.
So we're into actual gameplay here. So those drum skins, you're not pressing a button, you're hitting the Vita.
Yeah, you're hitting it, and how hard you hit actually determines how far into the air you'll chuck Iota and things like that.
We saw that you made a hole there and it came through like portal style somewhere else. Is there a sort of a purpose to that, or is that just showing?
I think at this stage, this area is kind of a playground where it's just showing you what it can do, and these insane movements to all the plants and things that seem impossible unless you're like a ninja grade origami expert, and a little basketball.
Yeah,
just for
that's
fun.
Very Little Big Planet to me. That's Little Big Planet level creation 101 almost.
Yeah, and the sort of the disembodied cheers that you get as well. There's something really Media Molecule about
the sound? Yeah, the sound design seems quite similar. Even the sort of confetti is quite Pop-It menu. Does it feel like a Media Molecule game? Do you sort of immediately get that kind of resonance with Little Big Planet?
It absolutely feels like a Media Molecule game. I wouldn't say it feels like a Little Big Planet game, but you do get that kind of really infectious enthusiasm that comes through in their games, and the kind of, it's a cliche, but the fun for all ages atmosphere, and that an adult can enjoy the game just as much as a child can, and it's just perpetually charming in every area.
Yeah. So what are these little ribbons we're seeing being collected here? What's purpose do they serve?
So they're a collectible that I think as yet it's undecided what they're going to give you as you go through the game, but they're dotted around everywhere.
Okay.
You can also see the kind of butterflies and gophers and indigenous life to each area as well that you can play around with. I picked up a gopher and just chucked it in a kind of Venus flytrap plant for longer than one should. Really.
Yeah. What are the sort of the interactions then? Because we're seeing here we're throwing like a pearl at a target. It's obviously a tutorial for how you catch these Wendigo creatures. What are your sort of touch points and interactions with the world?
So as you can see, the world will fold and morph in various ways. Sometimes through Iota, and sometimes through you reaching into the game and doing it.
This is glue, isn't it? That's sort of.
It's like a Pritt stick, yeah. That's been. There's a different type of glue, like a sea of glue that you drown in instantly, and that's a much friendlier type of glue that helps you get around.
See him rolling up there to get around things.
Yeah, and to roll, you just hold down X, and that gives you a quicker speed of movement for getting past the Wendigos and getting. Wendigos are obsessed by the pearls. We just saw Iota grab a pearl from inside a paper clam and chuck it towards him. So that's pretty crucial.
Is there any kind of reason behind the Wendigos, or are they just enemies?
I think I mean there's a really folklore atmosphere, and it's just a hodgepodge of all these different mythologies. The Media Molecules guys were showing me a picture of a merboy from a museum in Canada, which was clearly a monkey stuck to a fish.
Yes, I've seen
that. And they seem really fixated on that kind of thing, and it shines through in the monster design. So I wouldn't expect them to all gel together, in a literal storyline, but it kind of all makes a daft kind of sense when there's a camera there for when you've outsmarted the enemies. That's cool.
So what do you just get like a chance to take a trophy shot, or is that accessible all the time?
It's it's both the shoulder buttons, and you can take a picture of a nice scene or an outsmarted Wendigo or whatever you feel like.
Okay, so we're seeing obviously you're kind of escaping Wendigos here, using is that a glue wall to get up there?
Yeah,
I mean, what is the sort of what are you doing as the majority of the time? Are you just sort of exploring and platforming and occasionally escaping monsters? Is that the...
Well, the way one of the designers, Rex Crowell, described it is that there are playground areas to kind of just mess around with the world, and then there are pinch points where you're forced into a quicker pace of play by the Wendigos.
Right.
So you'll need to figure out a puzzle quickly, otherwise you'll get killed, kind of like Sackboy would in the Little Big Planet games. But there are also kind of wider open areas where you're free to just have fun as well.
Right, but like a sort of a hub area, or just more to discover?
Yeah, so we saw the basketball hoops. Just across from that there is the plant that is kind of a portal, so you throw something into the plant on the ground and it comes out of the wall.
Yeah.
So there are areas like that, as well as this quite manic, Wendigo infested area that we're seeing now.
And it's essentially like a chase, isn't it? You just got to keep going or you're going to get...
Yeah, so you need to figure out.
Do you die? I mean, what's the sort of the punishment?
You die and you see the envelope just flitter off into the distance, and then you respawn from a checkpoint. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I think I died a fair few times when I was getting to grips with it. I don't think you're going to be penalised too heavily for it.
When you say getting to grips with it, in what way? Just getting used to the controls, or does it do anything that takes a bit of sort of getting used to?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while actually to figure out that, say with the rear touchpad, that is it's sensitive to how hard you hit it as well, and things like that. So to make a certain jump, you don't realise initially how hard you actually have to hit the Vita, things like that. And also an element of me just being a little bit cat-handed.
Does it sort of explain, like, obviously we've got these presents popping up as cages, does it sort of explain itself at all, or is it just cages are presents in this world?
Yeah, so you'll get like a little tutorial like we saw there. So in this puzzle though, there we go, we saw him die.
Oh, so
that's what happens.
Oh, that's what those little stars are then?
Yeah, that's a little checkpoint. So here you're guiding the fish into those plants, the lilies, and then they swallow them up. So it's a matter of just walking in the right direction, and then...
How do you pick things up? We see that little icon there showing...
Yeah, that's square, so you can pick up like the gophers and the fish. You can grab a fish and get launched up by this thing. I'd hate to have to try and make that in real life. I'm not sure it's physically possible.
Are all the things kind of makeable? I mean, it looks like they've all been made in real life first. I mean, I can't...
Yeah. Well, one of the really interesting things is that in the level editor that they were, creating while we were there, there's a overlay that you can put on that shows you the bit of paper that you would need to create each shape, and then all the folds and tabs and things to make each bit. So they're pushing the idea of these physical trophies that once you've kind of beaten a character in a game, then you'll be able to make it. Okay. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work yet.
That's a lovely idea.
But yeah, I mean, it's classic Media Molecule again.
When you say level editor, is that something that people can use to build their own levels, or is that what they're using?
At the moment, it's what they're using, but I can really see that making it into the final game. I mean, again, it's something that was so important in Little Big Planet. Yeah. I'd be very surprised if there isn't some level of user creation in this one as well.
Okay.
So we're just guiding a Pearl through some of the friendly Pritt stick stuff. I think there is the other type of glue.
That's the glue C, isn't it? It's bubbling away.
Yeah, there are so many Wendigos in this area and so many cages.
Do we know why they're obsessed with pearls, or they are?
I don't know. Now that's interesting. There's a little alphabet. The game has its own alphabet based on Hebrew, and we don't know what that does yet. But fingers crossed it'll be make it to the final game.
So I mean, overall, you spent a few hours playing it. Your sort of impressions of it?
It's so charming. You could really play the game for hours and not realise how much time has passed. It feels like a full-bore Media Molecule game. It's going to be fantastic.
Cool. Thank you very much.